Ready? Okay, now I'm recording. Now I'm going to share screens. No, I have the my clicker. Yep. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is almost Memorial Day weekend. I can't believe it. We're at the end of May, the beginning of June, this the year. We're now recording. So welcome. Why isn't my thing working? I practiced this. Okay, let me just see. Okay, there we go. All right. So quote of the week. Did everybody hear me okay? Number one.
Yeah.
That's on. That's not in this room.
Yes, I can hear you, unfortunately.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you.
Wow, way to go.
But you have to find something that you love enough to jump over hurdles and break through brick walls, right? You have to be passionate about what you do every day. They always say, right? If you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So really, I think our business specifically, because we do have so many hurdles on a daily basis, we are problem solvers. That's what we do. So if you love it, keep remembering or reminding yourself why you got into real estate, how excited you were at the beginning. Vikram's shaking his head because he still remembers since he's only been in a few weeks. See? So if you forget, ask Vikram. If you forget why you're doing it, if you forget the excitement, you forget the great parts of real estate, ask a new agent so they can get you back revived again. So yesterday in our mastermind, Dennis Cassidy shared with us that though I may have said these things a lot before, when he saw this podcast, it resonated with him. So I thought it was something I wanted to look into because a lot of people had mentioned it on the podcast, on the mastermind. So it's 8 things successful people do before 8 a.m. and it does include journaling. And so he's found that
Hey,
this has gotten
Missy?
him back on track. Yes.
I can't, yours, mine's not showing what you're reading. Mine's a black screen. Anybody else having that problem?
I have the same problem.
Me
I have the
too.
same problem.
Let me
Me
take it off and
too.
put it back on. Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Lori.
There.
There you
Much
go. We're
better.
good. We're back to Lori now. What the
No,
hell?
I just stopped sharing. I'm gonna put it back on. Okay, now can you see my screen?
No,
No,
There.
yes.
Yeah, we got it now.
Okay, you're probably on a
things
little
successful.
delay, but it should have been on before anyway. Okay, thank you, Lori, for sharing that with me. So
Ta-da.
just so you guys can see it. So, there is a YouTube link on the bottom if you want to watch it. It's about 15 minutes to watch. But the 8 successful things people do before 8 a.m. Get 7+ hours of sleep, restful sleep a night. And then how you do that is you turn off your phone 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed at night. And you pull out your journal, write down 3 things that you are grateful for that day. Because now you're in a positive mindset. You're not going to bed with tension and worrying about things, right? It gives you a positive mindset. And 3 things you need to get done. Okay? So this way, again, if you're ever woken up in the middle of the night, you start worrying about all the things you have to do, right? And then you keep up, and everything's exaggerated when you wake up in the middle of the night. Any little thing could be going to the bank to put a deposit in, whatever. It's just exaggerated. So this helps ease your mind and rest your mind by writing these 3 things down already, and then going to bed knowing that you already know what you have to accomplish. So this will prevent you from waking up and worrying about these things and put you in a positive mindset when you go to sleep. Number 3, as soon as you wake up, change your environment, meaning walk out of your room, go into another room, go into the kitchen, go outside, get some fresh air, but immediately change your environment and because you become more alert and more mindful that way. Hydrate. Hydration is key. You see a lot of these young people walking around with these big jugs now because that's how much water they need a day, and the only way that they can calculate it is by putting in this big jug and then drinking from it all day and knowing how much they drank, right? So it's really huge to keep hydrated. Journaling, most powerful. Your mind has been brewing all night. Write down what you want to accomplish that day. So make sure you sit down with a cup of coffee now. You've gotten up, you've changed your environment, you've had some water. Now you're going to sit down with your coffee or whatever you like to drink in the morning, and you're going to write down what you want to accomplish. Review your long-term vision and review your long-term goals every single morning. Okay, you should have them written in that journal in the front or the back. Hard physical activity. So high intensity workout will allow your brain to flow more easily and better during the day. I mean, stats show even for high schoolers, if they work out prior to going into school and taking a test, they have better results than those who don't. And take action somewhere on your long-term growth that will make progress in your life. So make sure you're taking action every day. Be more mindful of what you do. I really, I'm trying to impress this more because in real estate, it's so hard for us sometimes to get motivated each day, right? We have times where we're really motivated, we're on the go, we're doing everything we have to do, and then we hit this roadblock for whatever reason, and we're left to get ourselves motivated again, right? There's no one there saying, oh, you didn't show up and work today, you're fired, right? Because that would get us motivated if we knew that was going to happen. There's no one there to do those things. So we are in control, and sometimes we are our own worst enemy. So something like this will keep you motivated and successful moving forward. So just keeping you on track so that you have momentum in your business. For goodness sake. Okay, so I'm just going to go through some economic news with you real quick. So this is NAR's 2021 Q1 home price report. 99% of metro areas recorded year-over-year price increases, and 89% of metro areas had double-digit price gains. So we were seeing that, right? I mean, every single day we're seeing homes go over $25,000, $50,000, $75,000, $80,000. The record high home prices are happening across nearly all markets, big and small, even in those metros that have long been considered off the radar in prior years for many home seekers. So Warren June, he is the chief economist for NAR. So the top financial institutions who have shared what they feel the market is, where we are now, where we're going, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley. We're going to hear from them now. So home buyers' interest rates are still historically low, though they are inching up. Housing prices have spiked during the last 6 to 9 months, but we don't expect them to fall soon, and we believe they are more likely to keep rising. If you are looking to purchase a new home, conditions now may be better than 12 months. Hence, those who remember the housing bubble of 2006 to 2007 may be nervous watching U.S. housing prices soar now. But the previous bubble was fueled by speculative buying, which we do not think is the case today. So we keep saying this. A lot of people think we're in a bubble, but we're not in a bubble. We're not in a bubble this time. Okay, there were so many factors, negative factors that brought us where we were. We're not seeing that this time. So that's JP Morgan Insight Report. Merrill Lynch. There are reasons to believe that this is likely to be an unusually long and strong housing expansion. Again, don't think it's going to end anytime soon. I know everybody's praying for that, but it's not going to happen. Demand is very strong because the biggest demographic cohort in history is moving through the household formation and peak home buying stages of its life cycle. Coronavirus-related preference changes have also sharply boosted home buying demand. At the same time, supply is unusually tight, with available homes for sale at record low levels. Double-digit price gains are rationing the supply. Goldman Sachs says strong demand for housing looks sustainable. Even before the pandemic, demographic tailwinds and historically low mortgage rates had pushed demand to high levels. Consumer surveys indicate that household buying intentions are now at the highest in 20 years. As a result, the model projects double-digit price gains in both this year and next. So next year, double-digit price gains. So we're still going to continue to rise. So unlike 15 years ago, the euphoria in today's home prices comes down to the simple logic of supply and demand. And we at Morgan Stanley conclude that this time the sector is on a sustainable, sturdy foundation. This robust demand and highly challenged supply, along with tight mortgage lending standards, may continue to bode well for home prices. Higher interest rates and post-pandemic moves could likely slow the pace of appreciation, but the upward trajectory remains very much on course. So I think this is really, really important information to share with your clients, your buyers, your sellers, knowing where we're going in the future, and for you guys to know as well. We have a strong conviction that we are not experiencing a bubble in U.S. housing. We are not at all suggesting that home prices appreciation will maintain in its current torrid pace, but home prices will continue to rise, but more gradually. So really, really, there is no housing bubble. We've been hearing this. What happened in 2006, 2007 was a mixture of so many different things. One of the top ones I feel was the mortgage lending industry not being regulated, right? And so people using their homes as ATMs, and no one had equity in their homes, and then the markets dropped, and then all these people fell into financial distress. So again, so with that said, I'm going to introduce you to a new partner that is joining us as a real estate attorney, Joel First. Joel, I see you on here. Yep. Just introduce yourself, and we'll see if you want to share anything about the current market, and we'll see if anyone has any questions for you in regards to the current market.
Sure. Again, I'm Joel First, New Jersey real estate attorney. And I thought I'd go into a little bit about my background. For many years, over 25 years, I was involved with running a mortgage company, which was the oldest independent in the United States. Not the biggest, but a very old line company here in New Jersey. And I was involved with running it. And although I closed some transactions during that time, I closed quite a few. I was really more involved with the operation area and the marketing area of the company. I've been doing this for the last 7 years, representing buyers and sellers of residential, really only residential transactions. I've done a few commercial, but I'm really staying away from that. My knowledge really lies in the purchase and sale area of residential mortgage, residential transactions rather. And, I take the file from the review of the contract into the attorney review period, which you have to act upon the transaction within 3 days. There's a little misnomer. Some folks think that you have to, conclude attorney review within 3 days, but you really don't. You need to begin it within 3 days, or the contract would be binding as is. So normally, as you probably know, the buyer's attorney sends a review letter tightening up the contract in the buyer's favor to the seller's attorney, and basically you negotiate the attorney review portion of the contract, and then the contract becomes binding. After that, I'm involved with inspections, and although I don't get intimately involved with them, I am familiar with inspections and help negotiate the inspection phase of the contract, and deal heavily with the other attorney in that regard. And then in addition, hopefully if there's a mortgage involved, the client is applying for a mortgage, and my background in mortgages does help in this area. And I will basically oversee, what his or her transaction is, and basically, deal with the lenders, and then I order title, and I get involved with the title process, and with Weichert, I'll be using primarily Weichert's title operation, and and go from there with the contract all the way to closing. I have 2 offices, one in Roseland, New Jersey, and then one in Saddlebrook, as I also do business up in the Bergen County area. I would be able to close in your offices. That's not a problem at all. And you'll see my cards in your office, your main real estate office. And basically, one thing I pride myself, heavily is that I'm very accessible. I keep the realtors in the loop throughout the whole transaction, and I'm reachable even nights and weekends frequently on my cell phones. My price is only $1,100, which is a little less expensive than most attorneys charge, unless it's a very, very involved situation. that's where my price stands on a single family. On multifamilies, especially 3 and 4 families, it does go up from there depending upon the complexity of the transactions. Again, my cards are in your office. I'd love to, do business with any of you. And, you could always reach me again on my cell phone. So that's basically what I really wanted to say on a brief basis. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me.
Thank you, Joel. That was great. Does anybody have any questions for Joel?
I do.
Sure.
Hey, Lonnie.
Hey, so your $1,100, does on a regular transaction, is that total? Nothing else? No other
Yeah.
fees?
Yeah, that's the flat fee, the total fee. And if there's a cancellation, I normally don't charge for cancellations unless it's, we've gone down a long ways down the road to almost closing it. But my feeling is most likely I'm going to, get another transaction from that particular buyer or seller. So that is a flat fee. I know some attorneys might charge extra fees or fees for review of title and all, but no, that's a flat fee that I charge.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure. Any other questions at all? Okay, again, feel free to call me. You'll see my cell phone up there. And again, I do have an office in Roseland and do quite a bit in this general area. And
That was my
no,
question.
haven't been a resident of New Jersey for all my life. I'm pretty familiar with most areas in New Jersey.
Okay.
Great. Thank you,
Good
Joel.
enough.
Welcome to our office.
Yes, that'll be
Thank
good.
We look forward to working with you. Thank you so
Thanks
much for
very
being on
much.
today.
Thank you, everybody. Take care now.
So get into our birthdays of the month. Jerry and Jacob both have the same birthday, which is today, actually. So happy birthday, Jerry and Jacob. Jen Fox has been with us 2 years. And she just had a baby. Spoiler alert. So Jen just had a baby boy to join her family, her third baby, or her third boy. So if you see Jen, wish her congratulations on the birth of her new baby. She's such a sweetheart. She really is such a sweetheart. Hard worker too. So Stephanie, come on up. There, you can have a clicker.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you.
It is weird, isn't it, at first?
The rest of my training schedule, I did the June schedule. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing 10 a.m. in the front conference room, creating a landing page and using it on Facebook, which some of the people know, but maybe good for the newer agents to attend that. So tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then on June 3rd, which is the following Thursday, I'm going to be going over creating manual listings and utilizing a pitch sheet and exclusive email works, which I have some information today as well on that. Following week, QR codes and text codes. And then the last one, I'm going to try to do with customizing your website. It's a little bit more in depth. It might go beyond an hour for that one. So I'll try to get some information to bring you for that. Just bring your laptop if possible. You might not need it, but just in case. And again, always questions and answers on other topics having to do with marketing or my life, or feel free to bring those too. So here's my tip of the week. So something came up that I wanted to share with you guys. So there is this area in the listings tab in my white book called manual listings. I'm not going to go into great detail on how to do that, but something's come up. There actually is a place. So a manual listing is mostly if you have an exclusive, so there's something that's not on MLS yet, you actually can create kind of a temporary landing page for it in my whiteboard, which is really cool because, a lot of people always have questions. How do I get exclusives out there? How do I market it? Like it's not on MLS. How do I get information out? So there actually is something called Send Exclusives Alert. I have a little arrow there. So once you create your manual listing, it will give you two options there. You hit the second 3 dots, generate new pitch sheet, which we'll go over after this. But the send exclusives alert, if you click that link, what's going to happen is it's going to send an email to every single buyer in the My Waycart system, not just in our office, in the company, who is set up for a search alert for that specific town and price point. But side note, you don't see anything happen. So this is something they're working on. You click that send exclusives alert, it happens in the background. You'll see a little green notification say that your alert is going out. So what happens is that automatically goes. So it's only for people that are set up as a buyer with a search alert, an active search alert in their system. So what happens is the buyer will receive an email from the listing agent. Okay, so it will come from the listing agent's email, but within the email itself, there is a clickable link which will take that person to the manual property listing on your website. So whoever the agent who owns that buyer in their system, it will take the person to their website. So again, it creates this temporary web page. So it actually looks like it's a live MLS listing, but again, it's an exclusive. So that web page is temporary. So again, when the listing agent is setting that up, you actually have a start and end date for that. So it will come down when that listing agent has set it to do so, whether it's the end of the exclusive, it's going live or sold or whatever the case may be. So additionally, and this is something that an agent brought to my attention, is that a buyer within the buyer's screen, a hashtag is auto-generated. So it's not the listing agent doesn't have access to your people, but the system generates a hashtag, and it's in the hashtag area, and that's an example of what it might look like. So it would be hashtag pitch sheet dash the address of the property. Okay, so just so you know, so that happened, and also within the timeline, it was saying that that exclusive alert wasn't received by that person. So again, it's along the lines that we're trying to sell our own listing agents.
Question on that second point. I have a buyer, Ben has an exclusive, so I create a manual listing for Ben's listing,
No.
send it to my buyer.
No, it's not necessary, because if Ben created that manual listing in Ben's My Waycart account and send that exclusive alert, if your buyer is set up on a search alert for that town that Ben created, you don't have to do anything. They already received it.
Okay,
Yep, you don't have to do anything.
so what if I have a buyer, Ben doesn't create the thing, but I have a buyer who's interested in that?
No,
I have to create it.
Yeah, so every week on the Wednesday meetings, I try to send out emails as well on any new exclusives that come from our office.
Okay.
So you just need to be in tune to those. But there is an exclusive tile in Waycart Tools.
Yeah, I know.
So, I've been working along with Silvana and, you guys to try to make sure you use that tile, because there's nothing auto about it. You really do have to enter the info, enter the pictures as if you would on the MLS.
Do we have to get permission from listing agent to create a manual listing of their listing if we have a buyer?
I would say yes to that. I would say always be, in touch with the listing agent, especially because, we all work together. And if, in this case, it's in our office. So, and again, I'm working with the other MTSs in our region to try to we're trying to share each other's exclusives with each other. I'm trying, we're really trying to do that. So it's not always something that you remember to do. But, we're trying to get, because we're all kind of in the same area.
Yeah.
So, they might have buyers that are looking in our area and vice versa. So we're trying to figure out a way so everybody knows that every exclusive. But this should be the first, actually. And I don't think that we've been teaching that enough. And I think when you have an exclusive, especially if it's going to be a long-term exclusive, if you're not going to go into the market in 3 days or something, it's going to be a couple of weeks, and say, do this first. It can't hurt. It's not going to hurt anybody to do this. So, but the cool thing is you actually have to initiate that alert to go out. You have to press that button. It's not just going to automatically go.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Everybody understand?
Everybody understand? And again, I have a training, I think, in a couple of weeks on, the ins and outs of this, how to create one, what to do. Here's a little example of what a pitch sheet looks like. So we were touting it as something as a marketing piece, which it really is. it really is great to show your potential seller clients Weiker's buying power, because it really does break it down. And actually, for the property I'm purchasing is in Greenwood, I did just an example here to show that when you put in an address, what will happen is the system will generate this tip sheet and it will break down the buyers available in Weiker overall. So this is every single My Weiker system. It's not just our office. So this is basically saying that at the moment I ran this pitch sheet, there's 139,000 active buyers it says in our office, it should be in our company. We're working on getting that switched. Then it will break it down saying, okay, there's about 78,000 active buyers at that price point. Then there's over 2,000 active buyers in that town. And then it kind of like sums it all up for you. There's about 2,031 active buyers for that price point for Greenwood. It's a nice little piece to, type as your listing presentation. Or just for your own information, whatever you want to do. It's no cost to run the pitch sheet. But you do have to have that manual listing in there in order to run that pitch sheet.
It's a great piece if you got, made phone calls or did any door hanging and you received a call from someone. Great things put in for people.
You guys have any other questions that have come up or on this? Okay, thanks, guys.
That's quiet again. Very scary. So I don't have a lot of office news today because what I was hoping to share with you today was the update on our company moving forward with Governor Murphy's new plan with no more masks indoor. But they're still putting that together and they're going to share it with us by the end of the week. So I don't have that information for you today, unfortunately. What I would say though, as far as open houses go, because a lot of people have asked me about open houses, I would say that's a conversation you have with your seller, and what your seller is comfortable with is how you move forward. However your seller wants to move forward is what you do. If they want to still have people wear masks and gloves and booties, and that's what you do. Whatever it is, that's how you move forward. You just go by your seller specifically, not by anything that happens. We're going to talk about, or what we're going to put out is what happens in the office-wide, not out there as well. So everybody has to still be comfortable and do whatever it is that they feel comfortable with. Okay, and just reminder, CE credits have to be due by, you really have the end of the week. And the problem is, if you did not satisfy your do your CE credit yet, that they still have to be processed from the site that you're taking the credits with, and they have to go into PSI, and that takes a few days. So I would highly recommend, if someone has not completed their CE credits yet, to do it by the end of today, so that you're giving yourself time for those credits to pass over to the PSI website, so that you're not late, and then it's a $200 fine. Okay, and that's going to be as of next week. May 31st they're due by. They extended it a whole month for us because of the pandemic and everything going on. So you did get a gift of time with that. Hopefully you already renewed your license by now.
Do you have a list of everybody that's still, I don't know if I did it right.
I don't have a list. I do not have any access to PSI. They don't give me access to my agents. They don't give me access to anything. The only way I've been able to help agents is if they come in, and I will go, we'll figure out we'll get on PSI together and we'll go through it. That's the only way I've been able to help agents, because I don't have any access. I don't know at all.
Because the way they have the credits set up, it's like 2019 to 2021.
It's very
it doesn't
confusing.
show. Yeah, it doesn't show.
They updated it like last week, and it shows everything new. So if you go in again today, you'll see it.
So yeah, what we were seeing is they had the first box, which you would think would be this this 2-year, right, where you're satisfying, was actually the upcoming 2 years.
Right.
And the one we were second. So people were automatically going into that top one saying it's still in progress or still in process, whatever it was saying, and getting confused. But that was the wrong one. You have to make sure it's for 2019 to 2021, not 2021 to 2023. Okay, so when you're looking at that, again, if anybody wants to call me if they're having trouble, we can do it probably on the phone. I can walk you through it. Or if you come in, I'll be happy to sit with you and go through it. to make sure that you're satisfied. But I can tell you, Deb, once
Yeah.
you go through and pay your dues through Wyker, if anything is not satisfied at that time, they send me an email immediately.
Well, I figured I
yourself.
did the questions, I paid, they didn't kick it back, so I must be
Then
fine.
you're okay. Then you're
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I figured, so.
Yep. Because
it
they
was
do get in
confusing.
touch with, yeah, I have gotten a few emails about the qualifying questionnaire, so
Mhm.
not being completed. And so they will reach, so as soon as you process it through Wyker, they will let me know if there's something not
Okay.
done.
Good
Okay,
enough,
so you
good
must
enough.
be
I guess, I'm just going with it.
good.
There's not much more I could do. I
And
did
then
the time.
remember, what we have upcoming for the end of the year is the quadrennial ethics CE
Yes, we already
credits.
did
So
that.
they have to be done by December 31st. I would recommend anybody who hasn't done it yet, wait until this cycle completes in July and then go on and do that. So then it counts for your next year's CE credits. You know what I'm saying? So you're killing two birds with one stone. So I'll remind you guys again, once we get through this whole cycle, once we're complete, and then I'll share with you how to get those quadrennial ethics credits and then have them for your next time. Okay?
I think we already did them. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Some people did and some people didn't. So our office training schedule again, calls with Kevin on Mondays at 12. Let's make a deal. Accountability calls Tuesday at 9:30. Masterminds are Tuesdays 11. Stephanie's in person. My Wyker trainings are going to be in person and via Zoom now on Thursday mornings, and she'll record them. Because we were doing a Wednesday night one, but we didn't have great attendance, so she's going to combine that on Thursday mornings. And the company-wide call sessions are still going strong, so we're still doing those, getting a lot of attendance, a lot of good successes with the call sessions. So Anthony, I know you're out there somewhere.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So yeah, just a quick market update just from last week, as we like trying to give you this data, just so we have an idea of what's going on with everything. But last week we had readings on the real estate sector. Housing starts fell short of expectations due to rising cost and labor shortages. This weakness bodes well for existing sales sector in the coming months, though rising inflation is putting pressure on interest rates. The Fed acknowledged such a release of the minutes of their previous meeting. Existing home sales moved lower last month due to the lack of inventory. We all know that. The lack of inventory led to another record gain in home prices. I mean, it's insane. I mean, I had done a recent purchase for a client last year, $350,000. I'm doing a refinance for him right now, and the value came in at $530,000.
Oh my God.
That was in Randolph. Insane. Like literally. Like
Wait,
I
in
told
one
him.
second. In one second,
Yeah.
I just want to repeat that because not everybody can hear that. So last year he did a purchase for someone at 350 in Randolph. This year he refinanced them. They appraised for 530,000 in a year.
And
So
I mean,
go on, Ant.
and he put 5% down. He's a 66 loan to value now. He had 35% equity in his house in 1 year, which is insane.
Unbelievable.
Yep. This week we'll see host of indicators as the month comes to a close. Reports on consumer confidence, personal income and spending, and new home sales will fill out the week. In addition, we have a revision on the estimate growth of the first quarter GDP. So we'll kind of keep you posted on what's going on that end. We've mentioned this before too as well. I mean, just keep this in mind when you're writing up contracts. If you can, try to stay away from that last 3, 4, 5 days of the month. It's crazy for the month end as whole. Everybody's trying to get things in and done. It just makes it very cumbersome for everybody involved, for everybody rushing around. Everything just lumps in. So your attorneys that you're working with have a lot more going on towards the end of the month versus the beginning of the month. So try to, if you can, rather than trying to, make a closing on the 28th, the 29th, or 30th, it becomes crazy. And just look at what's going on this month. I mean, we're rolling into a holiday week. And the end of this week is completely insane with it being the end of the month and a holiday. Our office is closing. A lot of companies are closing early on Friday. So it just makes it very stressful. And the last thing you want to do is have a great transaction get real kind of chaotic towards the end.
So Anthony, let's ask the question that's always asked, and I probably should know this answer right now, is I know a lot of I don't know, agents specifically or their clients, the buyers, believe that by closing at the end of the month, they save on interest, right? Because one of the prepaids that they have to pay out at closing.
Right. Yeah,
So-
so I mean, keep in mind, like my client that's closing today, their first mortgage payment is not June 1st, but July 1st. So we'll take a few days worth of the rest of the month of interest. They'll skip, in essence, June's payment, and then they pay for July. Now, hypothetically, let's say they were closing for the first week of the month. Okay, let's say they were closing on, let's say, the 6th or the 7th. Well, they wouldn't have a mortgage payment. They would collect interest for the entire month of June, nothing for July, and due for August. So for some folks, that's really important to them because they might be coming for a rental. They may or may not be getting their money back from their security deposit, maybe because they're cutting them out short because they're trying to get out of a property, their rental earlier than normal. So they can kind of almost catch maybe almost a 2-month window of not actually, in essence, having a mortgage payment. Now, keep in mind, we're collecting more closing costs because of the interest for that month of, let's say, June on the example I gave, but it is going to be less than what that mortgage payment looks like. And for some folks right now, that is important.
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's a misconception is what I'm saying, is that people believe that it's better to close at the end of the month for that reason. And
Well, I mean,
either way,
it's good from like, hey, I have to bring less money to closing.
mhm.
But like I have a client right now with a refinance. He's like, hey, can you time us where we close, right? The beginning part of the month, so I don't have to make that month's payment. And just like the example I gave you, we'll close the first week of June, and then he'll be due for August. So for him, he looks at it like, wow, I'll be able to, not have 2 months worth of mortgage payment. So some people prefer it that way, but at the end of the day, you're still paying it one way or another. There's no
Right.
free
So
lunch
it's
in
all the
this.
same.
It is. There's no free lunch, but for people like with refinances, wow, if you could skip 2 mortgage payments and get escrows back and save money monthly, it's like they're hitting the lottery. They could either do renovations on their home, pay a credit card off, load up their savings if they want to. But at the end of the day, you're paying it somewhere. Your loan amount's going to be more because you're collecting more interest. You know what I mean? So it's 2 a dozen, half a dozen other, And, we've been talking about this a lot. I messaged this recently too, as well, as far as like appraisals and stuff like that and everything. Turn times are taking longer. The art of appraisers is getting harder and harder to find new ones coming into the industry. And I sent an article a couple of weeks about this. So, with that being and everything going on, just keep in mind and be patient. It's taking a little bit to get them scheduled. Some are quick, some are longer, depending on market, location, where it is. Make sure you're writing the appraiser's information now. Make sure you're saving it in your phone. I don't have these appraisers on speed dial, like right to my phone, where I can call them up the morning of closing, or the appointment rather, excuse me, and try to reschedule it for you. So we don't want to have our buyers get hit with any kind of trip fees because we have to cancel last minute. Make sure we're just kind of on the same page with everybody as far as your appointments and scheduling, but they are taking a little bit longer right now. We're in the heat of the spring and summer market, as we always have, but it's taking a little bit longer that I'm seeing right now with some appraisers, depending on some markets, some type of properties, et cetera, and stuff like that.
Okay, so we see that Lanny is now cleared everyone from her room
Look
to
at
make
that,
sure that she could be paying attention when
On my
Anthony came
screen.
on for this specific reason.
On my screen, Dennis and Lanny are right next to each other. So this is gonna be
Yeah, on mine too, and I'm here.
According to Adam Data Solutions, the average seller profit on a home sale in the first quarter was A, 70,000, B, 60,000, C, 100,000, D, 30,000.
I'm gonna say A.
D.
I go with A.
I'm D. D, final answer.
Any other takers out there? Virginia?
A.
Hey, okay. Answer is A, 70,000.
You're welcome.
Once again,
Doesn't that mean it's gonna take?
She's gonna get something. We have to think of a really great prize for Lanny.
Did Lanny say A?
I said A.
Yeah, yes, she really did.
Anybody have any questions for me while you have me? Anything going on? Anything new? It's been a crazy first half of the year. I can't believe how fast it's going, but you know, it's like wildfire, multiple offers, everything, a lot of practice for a lot of buyers. It's been good though. A lot of appraisal waivers, which have been helping with our borrowers to make educated decisions when making offers. So that stuff is really critical. You know, have your buyers get in front of me. So I'm explaining the entire process to them so they're in the know.
Anthony,
Yes.
when do you order the appraisal on a property?
As soon as the borrower pays for it. So just think about it. If they're delayed on getting me documents or delayed on signing disclosures and paying for the appraisal, it's just going to take longer for me to get that scheduled with you. So that's why I stress me personally in this market right now, getting a hold of you know, me, let's getting them approved. If the offer gets accepted, I am all over on that buyer, making sure we have everything
Oh, I
going
know that.
from that standpoint, because some people take a little bit longer to get stuff and sign things. Everybody's at different capacities, stuff like that too. So until they actually sign stuff, you know, then it'll get scheduled with you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anthony, what is an appraisal generally running these days?
Figure like on a single family, John, like $500.
Okay.
You know, 485, 495. FHA appraisal a little bit more expensive because, as you know, they're a little bit more in detail. And then when you start to get into like jumbo loans or, you know, 5,000 square foot homes or multifamilies, it's more expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other people having problems with appraisals. I'm having a wicked time with my listing.
Listen, everybody is, John, not to kind of, you know, cannibalize you on that, but I mean, I have friends in the industry and that's the topic of the last, you know, 13, 14 months of just everybody complaining about just there's no data to support, you know, the scenario I just gave you, a buyer buying a house for 350,000. Let's assume he wanted to sell it and he's selling a house for 530,000 and he probably put like 15,000 into it. You know what I mean? So it's just insane on the numbers that we're seeing minute by minute on just how insane the prices are going. So the data is just not there to kind of match it up. But sometimes we're right on the money. Sometimes I'm getting them above, not even expecting it. And sometimes they're coming in lower. It just really depends on the market.
John,
Anthony,
you can
quick
call
question.
me if it's not appraising, if you're having trouble. I just had
dear.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I just had an appraiser. And I said, I told I have the buyers, it didn't appraise. And I said, can you send me the appraisal? Let me take a look at it. Well, the appraiser was not a very smart person. Let's go with that. He put 3 comps on. My sale is in Sparta, and he used, if anybody knows anything about Sussex County, you don't compare Sparta to basically any other town in the county. And he did. So now we have to fight it. So then I go to the listing agent. I'm like, all right, send me comps to justify your price. And then he sends me stuff from Lake Mohawk. I'm like, does anybody know how to do their job? So just because the appraisal didn't make value doesn't mean that there's not errors. So really try and get a copy of that appraisal and look at it and make sure. Okay, well then call me, John.
All right.
Ah.
I got a question for Cheryl and Anthony. When you do an appraisal for a refinance or a mortgage, is there a difference, the appraisal?
That's a great question, Peter, and Anthony can explain that the best. That's a great question, or Cheryl can as well, but.
The difference of a refinance appraisal and a purchase appraisal is exactly nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, a purchase appraiser has what? He has a copy of a contract, right? So he knows what the agreed price is between seller and buyer. He has a number to work with. Now, whether he agrees with that number, hence where the comps are going to come in. If you think about it, a refinance appraisal, he's got nothing. He doesn't know what you're doing. If a borrower is cashing out, paying off an existing mortgage, they don't look up what the balance of the mortgage is. Personally, I think it's the more real appraisal of the two to a point, because he's really just coming up with a number with not having anything to kind of base it off of. So, you know, from that standpoint, you know, they're not doing research on the deed or when you know, they're checking maybe what you last paid for the house, but they don't know what the borrower is doing personally. Is he going to a 15-year, a 20-year, a 30-year? He has no idea because there's no contract. So
That's very interesting.
Anthony, would you suggest for our listings to get our homeowners to just have an appraisal done while it's listed?
Would you suggest or advise a homeowner to have a appraisal done on their own to have an idea of where their house is worth prior to them listing the house?
I mean, I think that's where your specialty as an agent comes in, right? If you're marketing the house for them or you're coming up with a listing, is going to come in, because at the end of the day, you're going to have a buyer to spend $500 independently. And then let's say the appraisal comes in on the house for the mortgage, for the buyer buying it, it's different. At the end of the day, you can't use that appraiser. That's a waste of $500 from a cost perspective. I mean, and even if they refute it and say that appraisal is better, by definition, I've said this 100 times, an appraisal is an opinion of value. You can get 30 appraisers to come to the house, 15 feel one way, 15 feel another way. Some guys are in between, you know what I mean? So, just keep that in mind where, I personally would tell the customer, hey, I have a septic, spend the money on getting your septic inspected first and get that done, or getting a home inspection or a pre-inspection on your house so you know what kind of exposure you might have on that end versus, that's where you guys are going to come in. You know what's going on in the market, what's selling down the street, that stuff is really, I think, should be on you guys as far as a good gauge.
Yeah, that's a lot of agents ask me that question, Eric, all the time, and I always say I don't suggest it because of the opinion part. I always say, think about it this way: if you had 3 contractors in to do the same work at your home, you get varied estimates, right? I mean, sometimes you're like, I don't even know, if the middle one is right because the lower one was so low and the higher one was so much higher, right? So again, it's the same thing, right? If you're having an appraiser come in, it could be so different. And again, it's basically done. You don't have a contract, so that appraiser is going to do it differently than the one who has the contract, right? So,
I have a question on appraisal waivers. Anthony, can you elaborate on that?
Can you elaborate on appraisal waivers, Anthony?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I have the ability when having a buyer pre-approved to determine at pre-approval whether or not we may or may not get a waiver or not. And what I mean by that is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac only right now, not FHA, VA, or USDA, depending on the borrower's location of the property they're buying, their qualifications specifically too as well, more than likely good down payments, we may or may not receive an appraisal waiver. And what that means is basically Fannie and Freddie say to us, Weichert Financial, you could originate this loan. We did an internal AVM, like literally within seconds of me running the entire profile in their automated engine, that we do not need an appraisal. Sounds pretty crazy, but we are trusting the market at that point, and they're okay that we do not need an appraisal based on a certain situation. And I probably get them like 30 to 40% of the time right now. And that just tells you how crazy the market is, where, from that standpoint, they're totally okay with not needing an appraisal at all. The only hiccup with that is certain areas and certain markets, you got to be careful in regards to, crossover towns, right? Long Valley, Washington Township, the Township of Washington, Hackettstown, they all kind of float around. So some of those corners there, all of a sudden, if the legal description comes up on the house and it actually is a different address than what's marketed, you could easily lose the waiver. So on my end, I'm trying to do my due diligence on the front end to make sure that would never happen. Same thing with like a condo, 123 Main Street, and then all of a sudden we get the legal description, it's 123 Main Street, Unit 6. You could lose the waiver that way too as well. So again, I'm doing all my due diligence on that end to make sure we're ensuring waivers, but we get them a lot, and it'll actually allow buyers to be more aggressive on the front end, that they can know that they can go in an offer and say, hey, I'm actually waiving the appraisal because we know that we already have it already at that price. Now, if we had to go up 10, 15,000, we could easily lose it. So it's really important, again, being close to me that way. And I can only guarantee and tell you that no other lenders are really doing that stuff. No one's spending the time back and forth, getting people qualified and checking whether or not they're getting waivers or not. They're determining that stuff when the loan's actually applied on. So I kind of use that as a benefit to me and a strategy to us, to our buyers when working with them.
Yeah, I can attest to that because Anthony comes to my office and says, can you look up this property? Can you look up that property? Can you tell me this? Can you tell me that? So he's definitely doing his due diligence and it's always because of an appraisal waiver. He wants to make sure this is not going to be a problem once they go out there. So he does definitely, he definitely is truthful when he says that. He does go above and beyond. So any other questions? Those are all great questions. Right, well, thank you, Ant. Our absorption rate. I thought this was really interesting. Everything is basically the same. I mean, the inventory is going up slightly in towns, but look at Morris Plains. Last week it was 6 and this week it's 18. Isn't that crazy? We have not seen it over 12 in months. I'd probably say a year, but it's up to 18 right now and 10 under contract, which I thought was really, really interesting. So the numbers, the inventory is starting to go up little by little, just because of the time of the year. I mean, again, you're not going to see what you're used to in the past, but definitely a rise in inventory in this last week in all our surrounding towns. So, and you know, absorption rate is still well below 2%, or sorry, 2 months inventory. So new listings on the market. Tabitha, are you on the call? Can't see who's on. So if you're on and you want to talk about your listing, please feel free to unmute yourself. Tabitha, this is a multifamily in Totowa for $599. Mike and Priscilla have 22 Franklin Place, 1A in Morristown for $539. Catherine has 115 Sun Valley Way in Morris Plains for $525. Is it?
That's one of those 18.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. It was a great house.
It was a great house.
It was a great house.
Past tense.
Yeah. I had 2 open houses this past weekend. I have to tell you, I was a little nervous because I didn't have 32 people show up for the open house like Gloria said on Facebook. But I had a good flow, about 10 each day, and multiple offers, and we're in a attorney review. And the buyers came from Montclair, and so they're used to coming in strong because they kept losing all these houses, and I didn't even have to ask for high convex.
They know what to do already.
Yep.
They already have it down pat. Well, congrats on that. That's awesome. Peter, you want to talk about 41A Liberty or 41 Liberty Street in Clifton for $659? Looks like a beautiful house.
It is a beautiful house. Maybe it was a beautiful house. Built by a contractor who lives there multiple years. Built 2 houses down the block. He's gonna move in there, decided to sell that one. Now he's putting his own house on the market. Hurry up.
Hurry up. It's almost gone.
Yeah.
It's almost past 10.
Quality home.
Gloria's 50 Lord Sterling is gone. Going, gone. I helped her with that one because she had an offer, so I collected all the offers on that one. Just crazy. Know what's going on out there? You know, that's how I stay in tune and beat to the ground in real estate for you guys. Christina has 7740 Woodport Road in Sparta for $839. Fantastic home.
Yeah, it's a beautiful home. It has an in-law suite. It's mainly 4 bedrooms. Every bedroom has a bathroom, and then on the opposite entrance where you see the other door, that's the mudroom. But to the left is the whole in-law suite above the garages. It's a great house. They're relocating everything inside it. They're also putting up for sale. So if you want to see it, show it.
Looks beautiful, Christina. Congratulations. Gorgeous.
Thanks.
And Eric, please tell us everything about your new listing, including what commission you obtained on it. Please, Eric, please share with my office.
It's a 3-1, it's an estate. June 13th will be the first showing, but GSMLS won't let you go further than 10 days out. So it says June 3rd now. But June 13th will be the open house. That'll be the first showing. You park 2 to 3 cars on the driveway, no garage, full basement, high height. It can be finished. The upstairs can be another room or bathroom added up there. And it's a 7% listing.
Hear that, guys? 7% listing. 7% listing. I don't want to hear any more about who's discounting. 7% listing. Now you're all quiet.
Eric needs to do a class.
Eric's gonna do a class. Yes, that's a great idea.
Eric, I'll pay you one, but my next listing.
I
Get 70, get one.
love it, Peter. Always
later.
thinking, always thinking. So anything coming soon on the horizon in search of any price reductions or rental listings anybody wants to announce?
Next week, I have a beautiful custom coming on in Morris Township. It's 5 bedrooms, dedicated office space, 2 family rooms, 2 fireplaces, gardens that are truly unbelievable, on a full acre, and it's just shy of 4,000 square feet. It'll be on June 1st,
What's the price point, John?
$860.
860, guys. You all, if anyone has anyone in that price point, that sounds like a dream.
It's an
That you have
incredible
an
shape.
opportunity to get out to your client before it hits any on the market. Is there a pool, John?
No pool.
No. But you
I
can-
got a water feature with koi in the pond and everything, but no pool.
You could jump in the pool. Anyone else have a new listing or anything else new coming on?
Just listened to today. Lake Parsippany fixed me up. 259,000.
Did you guys hear that? Peter Lee, fixer upper in Lake Parsippany, a block from the lake,
How much?
259.
What is it?
Is it in a flood zone?
No,
How big's the lot? Small.
that's,
the address?
that's a gift right there. You all just received a gift.
What- Should we get into that?
Right now. Put the lock on.
Lockbox on, just go for it. 259 in Lake Parsippany,
What's the address? Because we can't hear him.
60 Longport. Okay?
We'll walk to Ferraro's Deli.
Oh, there you go. You can work to Ferrara's Deli. You're familiar with the area. Anyone else have anything new?
Oh, I do. I have something coming up in Denville. It's 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, great piece of property. It's flat. The outside is absolutely beautiful. Inside needs a little bit of work, but just like cosmetic work. That's going up for $450 next Friday. It's coming soon.
Awesome, awesome.
Who
So
is that?
Christina, you always do awesome in real estate, but your pregnancy has really put you over the top here. So I hope to see more pregnancies.
I
in the
look
future.
awful. I look awful. They're all referrals.
I hope you keep this going. Tell Dan you need like 4 more kids after this.
No, done. I'm gonna snip them myself. Done.
Do you need help with any of your showings or
If
anything?
you need help, Christina, Eric is asking, if you end up going into labor soon, like you hope to, and having a baby, Eric will be happy to help you. So
I appreciate that. I very well might, because I have a few coming on with open houses and stuff, and I just don't know when this thing is coming. So
I love it. She's the best, honestly. She is. Anyone else? We have a new rental listing in Newton. I told you about a project we took on last year. It's been a year. It's a 1700s house, 2 houses, and the second one is ready, totally renovated. I really have to share with you the pictures before and after one day, guys, because it is beyond your imagination what it looked like. 2250, 4 bedrooms, 1 bath, totally renovated in Newton, if you have anyone up in that area, up in Sussex.
They were calling about it last night.
How much?
Oh,
How much?
2250.
250. She said it.
Anybody else?
Sorry, guys, just cutting in and out.
I want to see who's here. I have to see everybody's beautiful faces. I had to cut that off. All right. Oh my God, I'm very frizzy today. This is the problem of looking at yourself in Zoom all day. It's very bad. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. Great to see everybody. Have a great Memorial weekend. Hopefully you'll get some time to spend with your family and friends. And I'll see you next week.
Have a good week, everybody.
Okay, have a good weekend.